Lucinda POV. Showered after patrol and changed into jeans and a t-shirt, Lucinda headed for the Alpha's office. She was expecting a full reprimand and punishment. Alpha Nicholas was probably also going to be in the office as well, and she could full well imagine he was going to be wanting a piece of her and Kyra. Demanding it, she imagined. Kyra was already curled up in the back of her mind, feigning sleep, but Lucinda could feel she was faking it, amused still over her antics from yesterday, which had landed them in hot water. This was her mess. She had been the one to mark up the big bastard's car, all of her own accord. Lucinda fully expected her to take the punishment and apologize. Lucinda wasn't going to. Technically, she had done no wrong here. She and Kyra giggled together. They really wished they had seen his reaction to the damage. Could only imagine he'd gone all alpha wolf into a crazed rage. Hee. Kyra, you have no fear, girl, Lucinda chuckled. It was why they were always getting into trouble. Heck, Lucinda had never gotten into any trouble at all while here, until Kyra had appeared. Now they found themselves in the Alpha's office, 1 or twice a month. Stepping up to the Alpha's door, she reined in her smile and amusement. Knocked on the door and waited. Opened it and walked in when she heard Alpha Corey call out for her to do so, though even those 2 words to her ears sounded as though he was amused by something. He was generally a happy man. She did like him. Lucinda had only taken 3 steps into the room when she stopped and Kyra stood in her mind, all attention. A scent filled her, mint mixed with aniseed and pine needles. Her eyes moved about the room, delta, gamma, beta, alpha, all she knew. Her eyes moved further around the room, and there was that big bastard standing on the other side of the room. He was dressed to the nines, in a formal black suit, black shirt, black tie with blue stripes on it. His black hair was gelled and swooped back off to the right. His dark blue eyes were locked on hers. There was a smile in them. Lucinda and Kyra watched as his mouth moved to form a smile. Sweet goddess, he was handsome when he smiled like that. It was the first time they had actually seen him smile, really smile. The man actually looked happy to see her. Mate, Kyra huffed inside her mind, seemingly more annoyed than happy about the goddess's so-called mate for them. Lucinda didn't much like it either. This big bastard had been calling her and Kyra a mutt the whole time he'd been here. Labeled her that from the first time he'd laid eyes on them, months ago. And why? Because they had bested him. Watching his reaction to her alpha say her name, the smile on his face had disappeared instantly. He had turned and looked at her alpha, then back to her, disbelief on his face. Hells no, she had yelled, agreeing with his look at her. She could see he was unhappy about the pairing, well she was too, and let him know it. Then she had simply turned and stormed out of the room and slammed the door behind her. Made her way back to her house. How could this be? He didn't like her, and she didn't like him. Bloody goddess surely got it wrong. Kyra, she asked her wolf for an opinion. He called us a mutt. She snarled, seemingly in agreement with Lucinda. We're a Luna. We deserve respect. Lucinda sighed, crawled into her bed and stayed there. She was not expecting him to come hunting her down right this minute. Probably need a minute to think out the words of a rejection. She and Kyra were tired anyway, had a long night. But her mind couldn't really shut off. He knew, the way he was dressed up, the way he had looked right at her, he had known before she had walked into that office. Happy about it, the smile he'd shot at her said it all. He was mated to Kyra, an impressive wolf. No alpha wouldn't like her wolf, strong and fearless. It had always been a concern in the back of her mind that Kyra would attract an alpha. Lucinda had always hoped not. Alphas could be horrid. She had seen that firsthand herself. And this one already had a reputation. His smile had been wiped off of his face the minute Alpha Corey had said her name, which implied he knew the name of the girl under all that black kit of hers. Just had no idea of what she looked like. Well, she guessed it was as good as over now. There was no way he would choose her to be his Luna. We'll just wait it out. He'd leave soon. Kyra huffed. She herself was feeling unhappy at this moment. Her own mate thought she was a mutt. It was not sitting well with her. The rejection would come soon enough. It was just a matter of time. Sleep took a long time to claim them, and when it did it was restless and fitful at best. Lucinda flung herself out of her very messy bed, from all the tossing and turning she had done, glanced at the clock, only 2 p.m. She needed to get away, shifted and stalked towards the eastern border, didn't even stop to acknowledge the patrol staring at her. He did ask what was going on. They ignored him. The minute she hit rogue territory, they sprinted with all of Kaire's strength and speed off into no man's land to get away to think about the events of this morning. Alpha Corey was going to be mad at her again, but this time he had to understand, right? A new mate, and one that already disliked her. Got a tail. Kaire let her know. They had run nonstop all the way into White Lotus Pack territory and were now just walking about aimlessly. She made her way to where the old pack house was and pawed at the ground a few times, then moved off again. Made their way to where Lucinda's old house had been, the place she'd grown up in, a happy home with two lovingly mated parents, and Kaire just flopped down on the ground and lay there. Our tail is the beta. Kaire's eyes landed on his wolf, big and light brown with light caramel paws and underbelly, a couple of white markings on his face. They recognized him from last night's patrolling. That was why he was suddenly there and constantly getting in her face. She was his alpha's mate, and his alpha had sent him to watch over her. They were well away from her pack now. Surprisingly, her so-called mate wasn't out here hunting her down to retrieve her. Or maybe he didn't care that she had run off. Or had he not yet decided what to do about her at this point, considering his reaction to her and she to him? But then what was his beta doing tailing her everywhere? Who knew what went through that big bastard's brain, if he even had one? His wolf just seemed to sit and watch hers, probably worried she would bite him again. She chuckled. We bit his beta, wondered what he made of that, seeing as he must have known what she was by then. A Luna biting the pack beta, not even she knew the consequences of that one. His wolf had trailed her at a safe distance and just watched curiously at her behavior. As she nosed around and tried desperately once more to pick up anything of her old pack. Even though she knew it was a fruitless task, couldn't help herself. It was her home, and she was desperate for any scent of home. Especially right this minute. Movement on the far east side of the abandoned pack caught her attention. There was a wolf strolling this way, large and black. Kaire stood all ears up, tail low, nose in the air, trying to pick up who or what rank it was. It did not look like a rogue at all, clean and pristine. The beta's wolf was instantly next to hers, his wolf pushing at her, trying to make her move and leave. Their movement caught the other's wolf's attention. It cocked its head slightly, appeared surprised to see other wolves here, then it stood straight to its full height and snarled loud and aggressive. Alpha power pouring out of it. A warning to them and a display of his power to show he was not to be messed with, she guessed. But this was her pack, not his. Kaire snarled right back at him, was suddenly nipped by the beta's wolf and shoved by him quite firmly, enough to make her take a few steps. They understood his meaning. It was time to go. She turned a little reluctantly and ran off towards the west, the beta wolf hot on her heels. She heard the mighty alpha howl a minute later and just knew he was coming for them. She pushed herself harder. The beta managed to just keep up with her. She could hear the alpha chasing, though she didn't think he was out for blood, more like chasing her off the pack's territory. Her damned pack territory at that. It stopped chasing her at the border to White Lotus Pack. Kaire turned and looked at him. She was a good 200 meters into no man's land. He had stopped and was just watching her as she watched him now. She watched as he shifted into his human form. He'd obviously gotten what he wanted, them off the pack's turf. She was getting a real good look at him now. It had been a long time since Lucinda had laid eyes on this man, but she recognized him. The alpha that had turned her life upside down and taken everything from her, that was him. The very alpha who had taken her mate Matthew from them. Kaire could feel Lucinda's anger and rage at seeing this man, recalling all the pain and suffering he had caused to her pack's women and children. The slaughtering, just to claim what wasn't even rightfully his. Fury built up in them both. The growl that erupted from Kaire was so loud and aggressive, her meaning was not misunderstood by him at all. The deliberate step she took towards him noted as well. Careful, Kyrie, he is an alpha wolf. Lucinda suddenly worried they weren't going to be able to take him on. I know that, she shot back, not caring for Lucinda's concerns at all. Clearly felt she could take him on. Let's take him close to the pack, where backup can be gotten if you insist on fighting him. Let's, she agreed. She was spoiling for a fight, it seemed. Lucinda's emotions having an effect on her wolves. The man was standing watching her wolf. His interest in her sudden behavior had been piqued. Not many wolves would dare challenge an alpha wolf, and she wouldn't smell of any rank to him, just a warrior, she imagined. Kyrie snarled at him again and took a step back, her tail flicking back and forth. Her ears were flat back on her head. She was all aggression, and he knew it. He would not know her. The last time he had laid eyes on her, she had been wolfless. Kyrie's challenge to him was clear for all to see. Come and get me. She turned and ran off towards their pack. She knew the beta was with her, hot on her heels. She heard the alpha wolf howl and knew he was accepting her challenge. He would be fast and strong, but he was old and she was young, her speed unmatched by anyone. Even the beta was now falling behind now that Kyrie was full of adrenaline and pushing herself to her full potential. It was a long way to the pack and she wanted him closer, only needed to be within linking range really. But the closer the better. Kyrie burst out of the wooded area on rogue territory about 200 meters from Half Moon Pack's eastern border and skidded to a stop. The beta shot past her. He hadn't realized she was going to stop. Her eyes fell on the wolf of Alpha Darwin. It had come to a halt just on the edge of the forest, realizing she now had backup. He would be able to see the patrolling wolves pulling into formation behind her to protect their border from an invading force. She had taunted him all the way to her home, and she had warriors behind her, not that they would interfere in the challenge she was about to issue. It was time to kill this bastard once and for all. Kyrie let out a howl so loud it hurt Lucinda's own ears. It was her Luna howl, and then was growling at him so fiercely that she knew he could not mistake her challenge for anything else. The wolf launched itself at her, and she at it. Her wolf was suddenly slammed onto the ground by one from behind her, and when Kyrie got up, there was a massive black wolf standing in front of her. She knew it was Alpha Nicholas's wolf blocking her, could smell him. It was not facing her, was standing staring down the other alpha wolf, growling and snarling as aggressive as she had been a moment ago. Another wolf landed right next to his. She recognized Alpha Corey's wolf sage, and the two of them were blocking her from getting to her intended target. Kyrie was not having it. That bastard was ours. She shot off the mark to her left to go around the alphas blocking her path to him, completely pissed off that his wolf had taken her down and stopped her from getting what she wanted. Found both betas, Adam's wolf Dom and his beta's wolf, barring her way. She snapped aggressively at them and turned to bolt the other way, off to her right to try and go get him, only to find the rest of the alpha unit blocking her way. She snarled at them and launched herself at them, but both wolves pushed her back. Enough, was roared down from Alpha Corey through the mind link. Kyrie snarled back at him, trying to shake off the order, and tried again to take off towards Alpha Darwin's wolf, who was standing watching her wolf's actions, trying to get to him. Kyrie was crazed with her need to kill him. Running back and forth now, trying to push past the line of wolves, surrounding her and keeping her behind them, they were being as aggressive as she was in their attempt to contain her. All thoughts were gone now, just the need to kill Alpha Darwin. She was growling and snarling so aggressively that her intent would be clear to everyone here watching her. She could not clear the line, no matter how she tried. It didn't help that Thomas and her retrieval team had arrived as well and were all backing up the Alpha's unit. To many trying to stop her, she was never clearing them to get to him. She was being surrounded by them all, closing the distance around her so not even Kyrie could go back and forth. She was being forced back onto pack territory, my office now. Alpha Corey shot down the Minklink, a direct order she could not ignore. That's him, she yelled back angrily. I don't care. Go now. He roared the order at her. Kyrie turned and left, unable to ignore the force he had used on her. She was marched back to the pack house by the Alpha unit and her own retrieval team. Completely surrounded all the way there like a bloody prisoner would be. She shifted the minute she arrived. Luna, Lindy, and Gabby were both standing looking at her with worried expression. She took the offered dress and slipped it over her head. The minute the dress was on, there was a very large hand clamped around her elbow and she was dragged away into the pack house. Alpha Nicholas, she could tell without even looking, just by his scent. She could feel waves of anger coming off of him. She practically had to run to keep up with his long strides. He was giving her no option but to fall in line right this minute. She was pulled into the Alpha's office and Corey was right there with him, banged the office door shut with so much force it actually rattled the hinges. Chapter 12. Lucinda POV. They both looked completely furious with her, though Alpha Corey nowhere near as much as Alpha Nicholas, her newly acquired mate, looked as though he was about ready to murder her. Well, he could try it. Kyra was certain she could have taken that other Alpha bastard down for good. Then the twins would have been safe for the rest of their lives here within Half Moon Pack. This was the only time she had ever laid eyes upon him, who knew when it would happen again, when another chance like that would come along. When he had been alone, no pack members with him, to help him win a fight. Lucinda yanked her arm free of Alpha Nicholas's grip, twisted and pulled with all her force, in a hard jerk that had his thumb gave way, and she was out of his grip. She didn't care that he was angry with her. She walked away from him and sat herself down in a chair in front of Alpha Corey. She only needed to explain herself to her Alpha. That big bastard had yet to claim her, or she him, so she didn't owe him anything. What the hell is wrong with you? How many times have I warned you about exactly this? Alpha Corey was yelling at her now, the full force of his alpha anger falling on her. Not something she had ever incurred before, she now realized. That was him, she yelled back. Yeah, I heard you the first time. He snarled back at her. You think Kyra is a match for and Alpha Wolf, do you? Every word laced with anger and disbelief over their actions. Yes. Kyra surged forward and snarled right back at him. What am I going to do with you? He snapped at her blatant disrespect. You Kyra, he addressed her. Wolf, are out of control. He was glaring at her. Wolf, and she right back. Lucinda, you need to control her and remind her she is not all-powerful. Kyra snarled at him. She hated people telling her what she was and wasn't capable of doing. Forced Lucinda's body up and out of the chair they were sitting in to stare him down. Alpha Corey shot to his feet instantly. His alpha aura flowed out of him and hit her full force enough. His voice was deathly quiet. Kyra let go. Lucinda sighed to her. Wolf. She'd never seen him this mad at them before, and that aura was starting to hurt her and Kyra alike. The more she fought against it, the more it hurt. Please, Lucinda begged her. Kyra huffed and receded. I could have taken him, she muttered, and allowed Lucinda to control their body again. Lucinda sat back down in the chair, in front of Alpha Corey. He dropped his aura after 10 seconds or so. Do you think bringing that wolf here was a good idea? What were you trying to do? His voice was a bit calmer now, but that edge of fury was still there. I'm not talking to you about this, with him here. She jerked her thumb in the direction of Alpha Nicholas, without looking at him. The chair she was sitting in was abruptly spun around, and she found herself face to face with him, his face mere inches off of hers. Oh, you will talk. I want an explanation myself, he grated out at her. His words were all laced with anger. Why the hell do you even care? I'm just a mutt to you, she shot at him, her anger turning on him. That may be. But you are my mate and you will answer to me, he practically snarled at her. No, I will not, she snarled right back in his face, not caring this minute who he was or what he was supposed to be to her. She saw just about every vein in his neck bulge like they were going to pop. His eyes darkened as well, turning almost black. His wolf was pissed too, she guessed. I will not tolerate disrespect, little girl, it was growled at her. But you give it so readily. If you can dish it out, you should be able to take it, she and Kyra growled right back at him. Everybody just calm down. It was Alpha Corey, trying to defuse the situation at hand. He knew well Kyra was winding up for a fight, mate or not. She would shift and go him, if she wanted to. Her eyes were locked onto his. If he wanted a staring competition, he would get one. She thought, if he wants a fight, we'll give him one. Lucinda thought. Her blood was still boiling and she was itching to punch something. Wondered what he would do if she cracked him one, or two for that matter. He was straddling her legs, and a good swift kick would surprise him, which would allow her to get at least one punch into that face of his. He suddenly arched an eyebrow at her as if he knew what she was thinking. Do you really want to find out, Lucinda? You might not like the answer. His voice held a challenging tone that made her think twice. If he knew it was coming, would likely deflect it easily. Answer Alpha Corey's questions, or I will be the one asking the questions. She snapped her mouth shut, firmly pressing her lips together. He didn't know anything about her, and she was not about to elaborate either. Again, that raised eyebrow at her. He clearly wasn't liking being ignored. Probably used to everyone just doing as he told them. Well, she held Luna rank from her old pack, and technically, if he didn't reject her Luna rank of his pack, a glint of angry amusement touched her lips. She was his equal, and bossing her around wouldn't be as easy as he thought it might be. Perhaps he should know more about people before he went throwing his authority around. Alpha Corey sighed heavily from his chair. Perhaps Alpha Nicholas, you could give myself and young Lucinda here a minute alone to sort this out. She watched Alpha Nicholas's eyes move to Alpha Corey. Why should I? I think I am entitled to an explanation. Agreed, but there are some things you don't yet understand, and with time I'm certain Lucinda here will tell you, but please may I have a moment alone with her? Fat chance, she muttered. Alpha Nicholas's eyes moved back to hers. He hadn't liked her comment, she could tell. His jaw was ticking like crazy. He stood up to his full height, making her face turn all the way up to look at him. He was freaking crazy tall, she realized. If you think we are done, you are mistaken, Lucinda, he spoke to her. I don't actually answer to you, she shot back at him. Again that arched eyebrow. Oh. I think you'll find that you do. In fact, answer to me. I am your mate. And with that he turned and walked out of the office. I am your mate, she repeated, sarcasm dripping off every word. Lucinda, don't challenge him. Alpha Corey sighed. Now please explain to me why after all the warnings I've given you, you went and did exactly what I feared the most. He was alone, no pack, no alpha unit, alone. It's the best time to kill him, she said honestly. So you brought him here? He shook his head. Well, in case we couldn't handle him and did need backup. Now, what do you think is going to happen? I don't know, I didn't think you would stop me, to be honest. And what happens when you're not here anymore? He asked her, staring directly at her. Why wouldn't I be here? She was confused now. Are you forgetting your mate out there, Alpha Nicholas? He gestured to the office door. He'll leave. He doesn't even like us, she muttered. We're just a mutt to him. No alpha wants a mutt for a mate. You two will work this out. Alphas always claim what belongs to them. I don't belong to him. She shook her head. I belong to Matthew, and suddenly there were tears welling in her eyes. Lucinda, his voice was soft now. I know, you must be very confused right now, but please don't do anything else that's stupid, he sighed. Can I go now? She whispered. Her anger was gone, and she just felt sad for all that she had lost. Promise me, you're not going to run off. Where would I go? My home was destroyed. Tears fell down her face, and my sisters are here. I know, and seeing that Alpha has brought it all back to you, I understand. No, he didn't. He hadn't had to live through it. Feel every bond she'd had snap and severe, to grieve not just his family, but his mate and his pack too. It wasn't something May could understand. Her tears were freely flowing, and she couldn't stop them now. I want to go now, she whispered. Her pain was becoming too much to bear in front of him, in front of anyone for that matter. Go home, he nodded. Nowhere else, I mean it. She stood and left. Tears were still spilling down her face. She stepped out of her Alpha's office, saw him coming right towards her. Was small and quick enough to duck under and away from the hands that were trying to grab onto her. She was not going to deal with him. She owed him nothing. The second she dodged him, she ran out of the pack house and all the way to her house, slammed the door shut and locked it. Ran to her room and threw herself onto her bed. It didn't take long for the sobs to rack her body, to feel the emotional exhaustion of her day fall upon her and eventually take over her. Sleep finally claimed her emotionally and physically exhausted body. Chapter 13. Nick POV. Jeremy was in hysterics, literally rolling around in his bed laughing so hard that tears were coming out of his eyes. He thought it was absolutely hilarious that Nick's mate had turned out to be the knife-wielding, bow-toting she-wolf, who had showed him up and was more than happy to piss him off at every turn. Laughed even harder when he'd found out it was his mate, who had taken Claus to the Alpha's own vehicle. The tears had rolled out of him when he'd heard she'd yelled, "Hell's no," and stormed out of the Alpha's office and away from him. Especially when he could see how Nick was dressed to impress. Which clearly it had not. Finally found a she-wolf who could resist his goddess given good looks. "When you're done laughing at my expense." Nick huffed at him. He'd known this was going to be the reaction, and goddess help him, when Jeremy relayed it to the rest of his unit, and Nick knew the man well enough to know he was going to, the first chance he got. Even if Nick Alpha ordered the man not to say a word, he would find some bloody loophole to get out of it and inform them. He was a devious bastard with a streak for pure mischief. Might take more than a minute, he laughed up at his Alpha. Nick walked over to his Beta and put a boot into him, shoved him clean off the other side of the bed and heard him land on the floor with a satisfied thud. His laughing finally stopped, but he was still smiling up at him. "I want you to watch her." "Why, I'm tired, boss. Barely had any sleep a few hours." "Just walk over there. You know where she lives. Knock on her door. Introduce yourself properly, and for once in your life, suck it up. Apologize for the insults you called her, your mate. Problem likely solved." Somehow I don't think it is going to be that easy. His mind recalled the way Alpha Corey and his unit had laughed, just like Jeremy had done actually. He watched Jeremy nod and then chuckle. "You're probably right. You've probably pissed off the moon goddess herself. By refusing all these years to attend or hold her mating balls for your pack members, now she's seen fit to punish you. With a mate who's just as stubborn, defiant, and only does what they want, and remind you of anyone in particular." He snorted at Nick when Nick turned angry eyes on him. Nick knew what he meant, a mate with the same temperament as him. Difficult to say the least. She'll come around. He knew she would. She was female, and he dropped dead gorgeous, no woman cold hold out on him for long. "And if she doesn't?" Jeremy said, finding clothes to put on. "There is such a thing, you know. Rejection." Nick stared at his friend now, wide-eyed. "Really? You think she would reject me?" "I don't know, Nick. I know nothing about her. Neither do you, for that matter." "Will you trail her for the day? Currently in her house, sleeping, I believe." "Just set yourself up by the house. Doze if you like, but make sure Cal is on alert for her movements. I have to go and sort out my pack members, find out who made it off to other packs and how many will be joining ours. Get them organized and send them back to the pack ahead of us. It'll be just you and I here after that, to deal with Lucinda." "Yeah, can't you see I'm getting dressed here?" He raised an eyebrow at Nick and his tone implied, "Are you blind?" Nick frowned at him, but just shook his head. "Thanks, link me if she does anything." He shrugged, "You know." "You worried she's got a boyfriend somewhere here, boss?" "What?" "No, well now I bloody do." Nick had not even considered that. Shit, she might well have. High-ranked warrior with a tiny human, curves in all the right places, and a wolf that pretty. Shit, it was more than likely. If she did, he would have to go. Right away, no one was touching his mate. Jeremy started laughing all over again as he watched it dawn on Nick that his mate might be fucking some other wolf out there. "I'll watch her. Go do your alpha duties." "Thanks. Anything out of the ordinary?" "Sure thing, boss. But what's out of the ordinary for us might not be for her." Nick glared at his Beta and left the room. It was nearing lunchtime, and he should have squared away his pack members by now, but had been preoccupied pacing around in his suite most of the morning. He found his pack members, kicked a few of the lazy bastards out of their beds, shocking their new mates, and had them all report to the front of the pack house for inspection. He could see her house from here and Jeremy casually leaning against a tree, just off behind it. 13 members of his pack had mates now. They were all loved up and looking happy, it seemed. He lost 6 females to other packs, 2 to Half Moon Pack itself, 1 warrior and 1 school teacher. 7 of the 10 males had found mates here at the ball. That was good. Mated wolves were generally happy wolves. He noted the other alphas all waiting around on him to sort out some of his going to them. They didn't seem all that annoyed. One of them, Alpha Frederick, who he knew, smiled right at him a knowing smile, and as he'd headed off, had nodded his head and hollered, "Good luck, Nicholas." It was clear the man knew of him finding his mate, and that he was having a difficult time with it at that. Who had spilled the beans he didn't know, had to be Alpha Corey or his unit. No one else really knew. Jeremy may laugh at him and be itching to tell Kevin and Brady, but he wouldn't be so disrespectful as to blab to other packs. "Boss, she's leaving pack territory, eastern border." Wolfed right out of her house and headed off clear in her direction. "What the hell? Cal will stay with her. You'd better get out here and catch her." "Yes." Nick agreed. He was mad now. What was she thinking? Was she just going to run away and not deal with their mate bond? Neither one of them would be able to move on if she just left, and neither of them broke the bond. Was she so dumb? Did she not know how a bond worked? Maybe being wolfless for most of her life, she didn't. Shit, has she got no education at all? He was stalking his way past the pack house headed for the eastern border when Alpha Corey's Delta Pete called out to him, "Alpha Nicholas, Alpha Corey needs a word." "It will have to wait, my mate just bolted." "No, she didn't. Please come and speak with Alpha Corey." Nick stopped walking and looked at the Delta. "She didn't." "It's very unlikely. Please, Alpha Corey will explain." Nick sighed. Her Alpha would have been alerted to her leaving pack territory in all likelihood. He would know her better, and if they thought it was unlikely, then it probably was. He would have to take the chance. They did know her better. He tried to link to Jeremy, but got nothing, already too far away. That didn't bode well, meant he was running full tilt as was his mate. Right into rogue territory at that. Did not make him happy in the least. He walked into Alpha Corey's office. "We need to make this quick. I have to go and hunt my mate down, it seems." "No need for that, she'll come back." "And you're certain because?" "Her twin sisters are here. She's probably a little on the emotional side right now. Besides, I heard your beta Jeremy went right after her." Nick nodded. He did. "Where is she going?" He was curious. There was literally nothing out there. Alpha Corey sat there in his chair, seemingly debating what to tell him, what information was either relevant or what would placate him. "There's an abandoned pack out east. She goes there sometimes to clear her head and think things through. Across rogue territory." Nick could only think of one abandoned pack out this way. He didn't like it at all. Horrid history. Why would anyone go there, to think of all places? "And you just let her alone, unmated she-wolf, roam out there at will like that? I heard you helped out the other night on border patrol. You would have seen her wolf fight." "I'm not concerned particularly, and you know what Lucinda is like." He smiled pointedly at Nick. "Do you think they can't handle themselves?" "Because I assure you she can. They can." "That is not the point. My mate just left pack territory and ran off into rogue territory. She has a history, something you should discuss with her. She'll be safe, and your beta is tracking her." "I'm sure he's a capable man, yes?" "Yes, very." Nick acknowledged. "Then try to relax. Just give her some space." "I'm not exactly known for my patience," Nick reminded him. Alpha Corey chuckled. "Neither is she. You two will annoy the hell out of each other. Be fun to watch." "She'll submit," he shrugged. "Can I put bets on that?" He laughed. Nick frowned at him. This man was infuriating. "Tell me about her." "How old is she?" 26. 26. You said she just got her wolf a few months ago." "She did." Aggressively exploded out of young Lucinda, let out a mighty howl, snarled at all of us like we were the enemy actually. Angry wolf right from get-go. You don't want to piss her off. And a real short fuse to match. Nick was frowning now even deeper. Aggressively exploded? "Yes, son. Took less than 2 minutes. First shift was akin to an alpha shifting for the first time." "Who are her parents? Where are they?" "Parents killed, I believe." "You believe? She's part of your pack. How can you not know the answer to that question?" "Didn't see it?" "Nobody here did." He shrugged. Nick didn't like that answer. His pack was much larger, but he still knew all his pack members' history. Every pack member had a file with all their details in it. How else were you supposed to keep track of family lineage, who was mated to who, pups born, lost family members to rogue attacks? Everything was in those files, and they were updated regularly. Even those 4 young girls he had rescued, The day he'd come across Lucinda, had files, and the trauma they had suffered was documented, their medical files from his pack doctor included, to the trauma of the situation. Trauma was not to be taken lightly, could cause all sorts of issues. Turn a she-wolf rogue if it was too much for them to handle, turn them mute, or even make them completely isolate themselves from other pack members. Male wolves could become so aggressive they turn on other pack members for seemingly no reason and could go rogue as well. "You got a file on my mate, I could read," he asked, hoping the man at least kept records. "Yes, but not my place to give it to you." "What?" "I'm her mate and an alpha." "You will give it to me," he demanded. To his amazement, Alpha Corey shook his head. "Yes, you are an alpha. As for her mate? You haven't claimed her, and she has not accepted you, so that doesn't count right now." Nick glared at him. This man was insane. "I am her mate, and I want that file. You may have been gifted to her by the goddess Sun, but I didn't see either of you accept each other, or have I missed something today?" Nick was starting to lose it. "I already told you I would be claiming her." "You did." He nodded, "but you haven't. So without Lucinda's permission, I won't give you her file." "I already told you, she has a history, and if she wants to tell you, she will." "It's actually not for me to say." Even Rip was getting pissed off now. This man wasn't going to talk. He'd only met the man 2 days ago, and he in all appearances looked like the most laid-back and relaxed alpha he had ever met. Yet here he was stubborn like an alpha, alright. His appearance was deceptive, that was for sure. Nick had thought him to be a bit of a joke, a betting, gambling man who just made fun of everything. He felt Rip surface. He wanted to know about his mate too, and was getting to the point of expressing his dislike and rage. Alpha Corey's hands lifted. Now, calm down, son. I swore to her I wouldn't tell anyone. Now if I go telling you, son, what good is my word? Nick's jaw tightened and was ticking. Why would you swear something like that? Because I needed to. No one in this pack will readily give you her history, and I mean no one. Or I will punish them myself. That gained Nick's undivided attention. Is it that bad? He changed tactics. Alpha Corey was no fool. Stared right at him for a full minute. You'd have to be the judge of that. When she tells you, and that son will take trust. She told you. His anger was abating. If she had trauma, he would have to give some leeway. She had no choice at the time. That is all I will say on the subject. But try and relax. She will come back, like I said. Her twin sisters are here. She will never abandon them. There is room in my car for both of them as well. I'll just take them too. He shrugged. What was 2 more females to his pack? No, actually you won't be. The twins will be staying here. Nick frowned. It took less than 10 seconds for it to dawn on him. The Gamma's twin girls, that's who you're talking about. Yes, and neither Gabby nor James are just going to hand over the girls to you. Not after your display the other night. Not that that would matter. Why are they with your Gamma and not Lucinda herself? Again, you might want to talk to her on that one. Nick was not getting anywhere with this man. Whatever her story was, he was not going to part with it. Her history can't be all that good. If no one was allowed to talk about it, do you think she will go willingly with me? I don't know, to be honest. He shrugged. You handle her the wrong way, you might find yourself facing a formal rejection. Nick nor Rip were impressed at all now. She's that stubborn? Not usually, but can be at times. I'll just mark her then. Nick shrugged and waved a hand dismissively. Once his mark was on her, she'd have no choice, and the mate bond would grow, and she would submit to him in a matter of days. If she still didn't want to be his mate once she produced him an heir, he would just reject her and set her free. Rip growled at him at this thought. Nick ignored him. He found Alpha Corey glaring at him now. You will not forcibly mark or mate her. I guarantee you she will kill you if you do. Marked or mated, it will make no difference to her and her wolf. If you do take her from here and she calls me and tells me you have forced her, I will come and collect her myself. There was anger in every word he spoke. That would start a war. Only if you're still alive when I get there. And I will not come alone. Nick realized that Alpha Corey actually meant every word he said. The man was in full alpha mode. Nick realized he was suddenly treading on thin ice with the man. Okay, so I am getting her history is that bad. Then why don't we do this the alpha way? Let's treat Lucinda as though she is your own daughter and organize an alliance between our 2 packs. That way you are assured of her safety. You can even put in a no marking or mating by force clause. Nick watched as Alpha Corey sat back and really thought about it. Long and hard it seemed. It was a good 10 minutes of silence before he finally nodded. All right, I actually think that might help you out. She's not going to like it though. Nick nodded. Yeah, akin to being sold off, I know, but I am her fated mate. It's not like I'm some alpha who took a look at her wolf and has chosen her, and she has no say in it. She knows the goddess picked me for her mate as well. Gotta be some room to move there, right? I don't much like it myself, would rather her just come willingly, of course. It will just take time for her to come around to it, right? Maybe. Alpha Corey nodded. I'll need some others in on this. Do you mind? Nick shook his head. No, let's get this sorted out, or start to at least. It might take a day or two. That's fine. Nick nodded. He knew alliances couldn't be just worked out in minutes. This agreement might be about his mate, but he was going to get a proper alliance out of it as well. Though this pack was 5 hours away, it would be nice if he or his men, when out this way, had somewhere safe to stay. Chapter 14. Nick POV. He watched as Luna Lindy, Gamma James, and his mate Gabby, plus the pack's Beta Adam, all strolled into the Alpha's office. It surprised him, not the Beta, that was completely normal for this kind of dealings. Jeremy would normally be in this office as well, but currently occupied. The Luna and the Gammas he found odd. Luna Lindy was carrying a notebook and pen. Odd, looked like she was going to take notes, it seemed. Did Alpha Corey not have an assistant? You look a little confused, son? Alpha Corey commented. I don't understand why your Luna is here. I get the Beta, and even the Gammas, I guess, being that they are Lucinda's twin sister's guardians. But Nick let his eyes fall on the Luna. I don't get her. Why would I not be here? Lucinda is my pack member, and I want to look out for her. No disrespect, Luna Lindy, but you're just the Luna. You have no say in this matter. Alphas make the decisions on pack alliances. So if you're here to catch gossip, you can just leave. His words stung her. He watched as her demeanor changed and she became angry. Actually watched as her wolf pushed forward and snarled at him. Unusual reaction for the woman. Rip ignored her. She was of no threat to them. Just a she-wolf. That is very disrespectful. She snarled at him. I'll have you know, my opinion on pack matters are valued, not just by the Alpha, but by my pack. Nick's mouth twitched into a smile. Her pack, so funny. All right, calm down. Alpha Corey got up and walked over to his mate. Nick watched as the man slid his hands around her and pulled her into him, for a cuddle it seemed. I'm sure he didn't mean it like that, he murmured softly in her ear, obviously trying to calm her down. He'd better apologize, or I'll put a stop to it right now. Nick raised an eyebrow. She would put a stop to it, like she could. She was just a glorified baby-making machine. And how do you plan to do that? He shot at her. While this woman really thought she held power in this pack. From what he knew of Lunas, they held nothing, just the position in the Alpha's bed. Like this, she snapped at him and yanked herself out of her mate's arms. I do not agree to this mating. She turned to Alpha Corey. I will not subject my Lucinda to that barbarian. She pointed right at him with an angry finger and to Nick's shock stormed out of the office, Alpha Corey heading off after her, calling out her name. She was fast for such a tiny woman. What was wrong with this pack? He shook his head dismayed. Gabby stood and followed as well. Goodbye, Alpha Nicholas. She nodded her head towards him. Her tone implied he was about to ask to leave. Actually asked to leave and without his mate. What the hell was going on around here? Were the women in charge? He was sitting alone in the Alpha's office, with the Beta and the Gamma. He turned his eyes to Beta Adam. What the hell just happened? You're about to be ejected from the pack at Luna's orders, without your mate, I believe, he answered. What? He shot to his feet. She can't do that, is just a woman. He heard the two of them snort and half laugh at him. Adam walked right over to him. Nick, may I call you Nick? Go ahead. He nodded, not really liking the amusement in his tone. What do you know about Luna's positions within a pack? I have heard how you got your pack, about both your brothers, and how they both became alphas of your pack, and even your father. Didn't any of them have a Luna? Of course they did. My father had 5 Lunas. Produced several heirs, rejected them when he found something else that interested him more. My brother's much the same. They are just there to sate an alpha's needs. Why? Interesting take on a Luna. He heard the Gamma murmur, dismay in his voice. Well, Nick, have you actually looked into what an actual Luna's position is? Title and rank is important. Perhaps you should. They are not just for you to gratify yourself with. As much as that is what you've seen, all your life I suppose, you would be dead wrong. You might want to go pack. If Alpha Corey can't calm his maid down, she will never agree to allow you to taking Lucinda off pack territory. And before you go she's my mate. I'm an alpha. That won't matter. There is only you and your beta here now, I believe. 2 against a whole pack. 48 of which I can absolutely guarantee without a doubt will follow Luna Lindy's order without any hesitation and step between you and your Luna. Nick turned at the sound of the Gamma chuckling. They weren't joking and he knew it, but what was so funny, he was clearly missing something. He watched as Beta Adam headed off after his Alpha and Luna. Was tapped on the shoulder by the Gamma. You might want to go and read up on Lunas. The pack library is on the first floor, East Wing. You can't miss it. Then he'd headed for the door. Wait, what am I missing? He asked the Gamma. A lot, it appears. You might be a powerful alpha, but you clearly don't have. He tapped his chin in thought for a moment. Perhaps we're not brought up the correct way and don't understand what an actual Luna is, or the position a Luna actually holds within a pack. Oh, and you'd better be willing to apologize to Luna Lindy, because if you can't sway her. James left it unsaid, then followed his Beta and Alpha out of the office as well, all of them it seemed going after the Luna to try and calm her down. What the hell was going on around here? Perhaps he needed to go and read up on Lunas. He knew what a Luna was, had seen his father create 5 of them, one after the other, dismissing the previous one for the next one. Once he found a stronger she-wolf to mate with, that would produce him a stronger heir. Even his own mother had been replaced when he was 4 years old, for another woman. He had half a dozen half-siblings, only one actual full-blooded sibling, his little sister, Mary, 2 years younger than he was. Nick did not like the turn of events in Alpha Corey's office. Luna Lindy outright rejecting his mate bond with Lucinda. The girl wasn't even here to make the decision for herself. How can a Luna have the power to do that? The Lunas he had known had held no power at all. His father claimed what he wanted, and when the mood took him bedded when and where he wanted his current Luna. Most of them had just sat around waiting on him to pay them attention. He'd been a cruel alpha to his mates, it seemed, didn't seem to acknowledge anything about them. Nick had actually heard him ranting at his last Luna. You're just here to produce me an heir, so do it already. You have no say in how I run my pack. Don't ever think you do. His father had told all his sons that a Luna of a pack's job was to produce a good strong heir to take over, and that was it. To never let a woman walk all over you. As the alpha you are in charge, and if your so-called Luna didn't like it, you could just reject her and find another. There would always be plenty of she-wolves out there willing to F an alpha male. It was true, Nick had plenty of she-wolves notched on his belt. There was never a shortage of bodies he could F, when and where he wanted. He made his way up the stairs and found the library on the first floor. It was massive. Much more extensive than the one his father had kept. He'd never see a book about Lunas back in his pack for that matter. He walked around not knowing exactly what he was looking for. When he came across a whole section tilted, the Lunas library, he couldn't believe it. Lunas had a whole library section dedicated just to them. Strolled down it reading titles on the books. There were books on all sorts of things. How to plan pack events. What mating balls were for. How to organize mating balls. How to properly invite alphas to the pack. How to seat alphas by rank and pack size at functions. Planning of 18th birthday parties for she-wolves and male wolves, apparently different. The correct way to party plan for ranked and non-ranked members of a pack. How to negotiate deals and terms of female pack members that wanted to be ranked up. What the proper ranking system was. Where to house visiting ranked members. Monitoring of newborn pups. Counseling of pack members. His brain couldn't cope. One woman to do all of these things. He'd never once seen a Luna do anything at all in his whole life. Other than mate and produce an heir, exactly what his father had told him they were for. The Luna's roll caught his eye. He plucked it off the shelf and sat down with it. It was old, like very old, and well-worn, obviously used before, and a lot he guessed by the multiple dog tagging and folds on the pages. Some of it was underlined too. To his complete and utter surprise, Aluna was not just a baby-making machine. Her role in the pack was to stand beside the alpha and assist him with pack decisions, to actually handle the lower and some of the really important pack decisions. Lunas were considered to be the same rank as the alpha and were respected as he was. Her word and orders were as good as her alpha's. She was not below him, but his actual equal. While that was not what he was taught, no wonder they were laughing at him. It appeared his view on the situation was more than a little backwards. He had just made a royal ass of himself, again it seemed. If Aluna's orders were as good as an alpha's, Luna Lindy had literally just informed him he could not be mated to his mate. She wouldn't allow it. This was not good. He made himself comfortable in the library, collected a few other books from the shelves, and continued to educate himself. Hell, there was an official Luna ceremony and everything. He'd never seen one of those. Wouldn't even know how to do that. Mark and mate your Luna is all he was ever told he had to do. So he just presumed that was all he had to do. Lunas, it appeared, were revered and trusted by pack members. Pack members could ask for an audience and visit the Luna's office on many matters. A Luna's office, he had heard Luna Lindy had an office when he'd arrived, thought that was silly, but now it seemed it was actually a real thing. A place for her to work from, to do all her duties. Goddess, he was brought up completely backwards by his father. This was not going to go in his favor. Aluna was also completely responsible for making sure mating balls were held on a regular basis so that their pack members could find their mates and create a happy, harmonious pack environment. Responsible for keeping track of pups to be born, pups that were born, registering their births officially with the pack, and visiting each new mother the day her pup was born, to give Aluna's blessings to the child. What the hell was Aluna's blessing? He wondered. The Luna was in charge of orphaned pups after attacks, to place them with caring and loving new families. Determine punishment for those without wolves. She was supposed to be fair and just, less harsh than the alpha, and pack members would trust and rely on her. When the alpha was away, her word was law. She was also supposed to put herself on the line for her female pack members and their children, to defend them against other invading forces. Try to negotiate truces and keep pack members as safe as possible in the event her mate was killed. Goddess, her job was almost like his, only she didn't have to go off into battle, stayed behind to protect and save the women and children. It was also written that she was supposed to bring balance to the alpha and his pack. A true destined mate gifted by the goddess herself to an alpha would also make the pack stronger, just by being there, because the alpha in turn would also be happier. The goddess herself would smile down on them, bless their pack herself, if the goddess-gifted mated pair were loyal and true to each other. Their bond strengthening every day, till it was unbreakable, and they would love each other completely, defend and die to protect the other. Nick was feeling very, how was he supposed to do all of this? It was not how he was raised, and though he had tried to be a fair alpha, he definitely had no idea how to treat a Luna, it seemed. A mate, yes, S was easy and he was good at it. But it seemed Beta Adam was right. A Luna was not just there to gratify his needs and produce him an heir, which was what he had been taught his whole life. Chapter 15. Luna Lindy POV. So furiously mad was she that even her mate Corey was not going to be able to calm her down. That man an alpha, my ass, she snarled as she stormed off up the stairs to her office. A bit backwards. Her wolf Skyla agreed, annoyed also, with his disrespectful comments. The way he had so easily dismissed her, thought she was just there for pack gossip, like she bloody cared about him at all. All she actually wanted was to know that he would take care of Lucinda properly, but it appeared to her that he had absolutely no respect for Luna's. If that was the case, he would not be taking a Luna-ranked wolf from her pack. Lucinda knew how to be a true Luna, even when everything had been crumbling around her, even when traumatized as were the rest of her pack. She had done what all true Lunas do. Pick themselves up, pull themselves together, and put their pack's needs above their own. The pack must come first. She knew it and did it. At 18 and wolfless, she had followed her former Luna's direct order without hesitation, with the woman's very own newborn baby girls laying in her lap no less. Must have been the hardest thing in the world to do, kill an innocent woman, her own Luna. Lindy didn't know if she could have done it. Then she had gotten herself up, with the place burning around, her pulled the remaining women and children together and gotten them to safety. Waited out the sounds of their pack, burning down around them to die down and hoping and praying that the alpha, who'd sold her pack and tried to burn them all alive, prayed that he believed they were all dead. A wolfless 18-year-old girl traipsed a traumatized bunch of women and children, keeping them together. Keeping them mentally strong because they had all looked to her to lead them, to save them. She'd only been their future Luna for all of 2 days. Traipsed them across hours of rogue territory to a neighboring pack and had bowed down and begged for sanctuary. She knew what a Luna was, no training given at the time. Only an actual Luna for less than a day, 12 hours at most. Her pack had turned to her, and she had known by instinct alone exactly what was needed of her. It had been hard to imagine someone, so very young, doing that after losing everyone and everything in a matter of hours. Lucinda didn't think that she and Corey knew that the remaining women and children of White Lotus Pack still bowed their heads to her in passing when they thought no one was looking. It was not hard to see why. It was also her entire pack that had responded to her wolf's Luna howl the day she had been gifted heir. It was unmistakable. They had all pledged allegiance to the Half Moon Pack, loyalty without fault, and they had been true to their word, but their hearts belonged to their actual Luna. A true Luna she was, and that barbarian downstairs, in her mate's office, had no respect for a Luna. Corey was chasing her, yelling her name. She didn't care. She knew he was going to try and convince her an alpha and Luna matched by the goddess was important and could make a pack stronger and their pack members happier. But she would not listen to him this time. She would make her mate see that sometimes alphas don't deserve their goddess-gifted mates. That she would not only let Lucinda reject this man, she was going to encourage it. He didn't deserve her. If it started a war, so be it. He was not getting his filthy paws on her Lucinda, no way. She knew who the mutt actually was, and it was not her Lucinda. It was the alpha downstairs, in her very pack house. He was going to have to go. The minute that beta of his returned, she was tossing him out on his ass. She would show him the true power of a Luna. With all the authority gifted to her by the moon goddess, Selena herself. What the hell were you thinking, Selena, mating that barbarian to anyone? She was prowling around in her office when Corey walked in. She rounded on him the minute the door was closed. Don't you bloody dare defend that barbarian, she screamed at him with all her fury. Calm down, I'm sure it's a misunderstanding. No, it's not. He doesn't think anything of a Luna's position. That much is very clear. I'm sure that's not true. His pack was always a bit off. Perhaps their view is a little different is all. I don't care, she snarled at him, slapped his hands away from her. She didn't want to calm down, and she knew he was trying to do just that. If she let him pull her into his arms and chest, her anger would abate with his closeness and his scent, his softly spoken words to ease her anger. His and her bond was very strong, and he knew it. They were a goddess-gifted pair from when she was just 18. She'd grown up here in this pack, and he'd accepted her with open arms on the full moon. Practically tossed her tiny body up in the air with happiness when he'd found her. She had not rejected him. He'd always been funny and charming. He was 5 years older than her, but she'd gotten to watch him from afar, as did the other female wolves here. No one would reject such a fun-loving mate. Oh, he could be tough, and she had seen his alpha side on many occasions, loved that all-powerful commanding mate of hers, just as much as the one now before her trying to calm her down. He was going to use their bond right now to his advantage, and she knew it. He always did, when she was this ticked off at something or someone. Come on, love. He practically cooed at her. Come here, my sweet. I hate that, and you know it, she muttered, already wanting to be in his arms. Stupid bond. He chuckled, come on, love. His arms were outstretched for her, his fingers all beckoning her to come to him, and his blue eyes were full of concern and a little desire for her, always desired her, even when she was mad. Lindy huffed. There was no fighting it, she would cave soon enough, and she knew it. She walked over to him. How could she resist this big bad wolf of hers, when he just wanted to slip his arms around her and cuddle her? She felt his hands slide gently along her hips and pull her right into his body. Not an inch of space between them. His arms wound all the way around her, and he leaned down and buried his face into her neck. "That's my pretty baby," he growled softly. "Just you and me now." He practically purred into her ear. Goddess, she did love it when he talked like that. A purr in his voice, he and his wolf communicating how they both felt about her. "Bloody annoying you are," she sighed and leaned right into him, breathed in his scent, and let her mate calm her down. She could sense that sometimes he was even more attracted to her when she was angry and ticked off, just like now. His deep chuckle at her response vibrated her whole body, and she giggled at the sensation that filled her body. Then he was suddenly playfully biting her all over her neck and ears. Little nips and growls, his hands were grabbing at her ass, and she was laughing and swatting at him. "Stop it," she laughed. "No," he growled playfully at her. "You're delicious. Want to taste more?" His mouth was all over her, playfully biting into her shoulders and jaw, anywhere there was bare skin. She knew he was just playing with her. It was not going to lead anywhere. It was just his way of truly making sure she was in a better mood. She started hitting him and pushing at him to get away, still laughing. Goddess, he could be so playful. Even after all these years, she'd never stop loving him. He was perfect for her. He didn't release her at all, just smiled down at her, that glimmer of desire still in his eyes. "All better, my love." "You're so annoying, do you know that?" "Yes, I do, but only to you, my love." He winked at her. "Now let's sit and talk about this properly." She pouted up at him, her pale green eyes looking up into his blue ones. She had her means to sway him too. "I don't want to, he's a barbarian." "I seem so." He nodded. "But even a barbarian can be taught, or tricked." He nudged her playfully. Lindy giggled. "I did get him to our mating ball." She smiled, proud of herself, the way she'd gotten that mighty alpha to her mating ball. No one around here had been able to do that. It had taken days of research in the Luna library, pouring through all the mating ball books, the proper etiquette of inviting alphas to mating balls. It had been in one of the oldest books, and she'd nearly not read it, had about given up, but her stubbornness to get that man to a mating ball, for the good of his own pack, had driven her to take a deep breath and read the book. "You tricked him good." Corey smiled down at her proudly. Lindy smiled. "I won that bet good and proper," she chuckled. Then, reminded of her bet with her mate, to get that man here, her attitude turned serious. "You are going to honor that bet, right?" "Yes, my love. And I will enjoy every second of it, I assure you." The desire was back in his eyes now, but much stronger, as he was thinking about betting her. "You'd better. I want a little girl of my own," she sighed softly. "I know," he nodded. "3 boys. What's one little girl? Pull your wolf into line already. We have enough boys." "I know, my love," he nodded, but there was a mischievous glimmer in his eye. Bloody always was. But, oh, how she loved it too. Might take a few tries, though. "Oh, for the love of the goddess." She threw her hands up in the air. "A girl. Just one. Might have to suffer 2 or 3 more boys first." He laughed out loud. "But my love, I will keep that promise and honor that bet. I will never stop trying to give you a girl." Lindy face palmed herself. "Goddess, I knew it. You found a loophole." She was pointing an angry finger at him now, though she wasn't really angry. "Yes, my love. Your bet was if you won and got him here, I would give you a little girl." "Yes, it was," she agreed. He was grinning at her. "You never said the next child was to be a girl. Just that I would have to agree to give you a girl." Lindy was pummeling him now with both fists. "You knew what I meant." "Ah, my love, you gotta be more specific next time." He was still chuckling at her, then grabbed both her wrists and yanked her onto his lap as he flopped down on the couch in her office. "You're so annoying," she shot up at him. "I know. Now about Alpha Nicholas." His tone was serious again. "No. Unless he can prove to me he won't treat her like shit. The answer is no." "What will it take, my love?" He was nuzzling her neck. "I don't know." She sighed and leaned into him. "He is willing to do an alliance for her, so we can write in any clauses you want to protect her." That might work, she guessed. but still wasn't convinced. You can make up some to just annoy him if you like. She heard the mischief in his voice and chuckled herself. I might just do that. But if Lucinda actually verbalizes a formal rejection, I'll stand by her, he nodded. Lindy was still sitting in Corey's lap when Adam knocked and entered the room. He shook his head and sighed. The man has no idea about what a Luna is. Lindy frowned. What did he say? Adam sank down on a chair opposite her and Corey. His father apparently went through 5 Lunas created and dismissed them on a whim. When something better caught his eye. His brothers much the same. Apparently raised with no knowledge of a Luna, other than they are there, for sating the Alpha's needs and producing an heir. How is that possible? Lindy was shocked. Was it even possible to do that? With such a large pack, surely someone in that pack would know what a Luna was and the duties. Adam shrugged. His father wasn't the best Alpha, I guess. I told him he might as well go pack. That you would not be allowing him to take Lucinda anywhere at this point. James knocked and walked in, sank down in the chair next to Adam's. I sent the poor confused bastard to the Luna library to educate himself. Lindy huffed. A barbarian, I tell you. I will not subject Lucinda to a man that will mark and mate her, solely to produce an heir for him, then reject her. Agreed, Corey nodded, but let's wait and see what he does with this newfound information. Will he learn from it or ignore it? If he's willing to learn, then maybe he will make a good mate. And just how? Are we supposed to know if he's willing to learn from it? Lindy sighed. He could just say he is willing to and be lying. Watch and wait, my dear. James did point him towards the library. Let's see what he does. Fine, I will give him just 1 day, and if he doesn't want to learn, he is out of here without Lucinda. All right. Corey agreed to her demand. Finally, they were on the same page. Lindy highly doubted this barbarian would go and learn anything, but if he did, she was going to think up a few not-so-nice clauses for him to follow along with in that alliance agreement, and there would be one to her liking, that was for certain. He wanted her and Corey to treat Lucinda as though she was their daughter. Then she would do just that. Your mother-in-law is going to be a nightmare to you. She smiled to herself. A little mischief of her own was brewing.